Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Voice of Europe, coming to you via the Press Project and the Real News Network. Only a few days into the new year, a major international incident made the world news. On Thursday, North Korea announced that it made an H-bomb test. Governments and officials of the West did not hide their nervousness. It is estimated that the nuclear weaponry of North Korea has 10 to 16 weapons, which include 6 to 8 plutonium devices and 4 to 8 weapons of enriched uranium. It is impossible to confirm this information, yet in a study published by the US-Korea Institute of Johns Hopkins, it is claimed that North Korea has nuclear heads which could reach South Korea as well as Japan. We couldn't resist the opportunity to speak to Fragiska Megaloudi, who's a journalist, analyst, and she's been a correspondent for the Press Project for many years. Fragiska has also had the privilege of having lived in North Korea for about 2 years. She is one of the few Westerners who have done that. Fragiska, hello and thank you.
Hello.
My first question concerns North Korea in general, a short history. If you could explain to us why North Korea appears to be so excluded from the rest of the world, the Western and the Asian world.
Yes, first of all, I just want to say very briefly that Korea has been a feudal society, so it has been known as the Hermetic Kingdom, and it has been a region of the world that has never looked for contacts outside. So it has a tradition of isolation. After the Second World War, as we all know, the world was divided into those who were under Soviet influence and those who was under US influence. North Korea, under Kim Il-sung, passed under the Soviet influence, and then the South Korea was under the American influence. So this created the divisions of the Cold War. Yes. So it's in this setting that North Korea is being set apart. Of course, Kim Il-sung has played very well the divisions between China and Russia and created his own version of socialism in the country, which one of the main elements was isolation from the rest of the world in order to create his own society the way he thought that Korea had to be. So it remained isolated for many years. And it remained isolated even after the communist regime fell? Yes, when the communist, yes. I think the 90s is a turning point for the history of North Korea, and this is where the famine happened with thousands of people dead. The numbers are between 300,000 and 1 million. It's not really clear, and this is where things have to change because after the Great Famine in North Korea, the opening of the society begins because people had to survive in a way. So I think it starts gradually after the 90s, and after 2004 I think the society is opening up. There's a middle class in North Korea today, which most people don't know. What we see, what we hear every now and then is that the regime of North Korea has issued new threats towards the West. The H-bomb testing is one of the most dangerous, scariest. And what we hear are that the West every now and then decides on new sanctions against North Korea, new economic punishment. How does this take place? What happens? What do they... Yes, but first I think we have to say that it's not only North Korea that is threatening the West. The West has been threatening North Korea as well. In 2002, when Bush Jr. has put North Korea in the axis of evil, at a point where there was an opening in the six parties talking. So it goes both ways. So there is a mistrust and there is a lack of collaboration from both sides that makes nobody trust the other. So it's not just North Korea that is doing that. Yes, yeah. So that has to be balanced on that. And of course, when you have a country that feels that is being threatened by the West, and on its own way also threatens the West, I mean, we have to say, is trying to create a strategy of deterrence, and the nuclear weapons are in this logic. That's how is using it. When they first started talking about nuclear was at the end of the 80s, and
It always used in the logic that this is what's going to happen to you if you attack me. Nobody was paying attention to North Korea for many years. There have been agreements to disarm the country. North Korea signed the international agreements, then withdrawn from them. So there is a history of back and forth in this topic. And now that finally it has apparently the technology for nuclear, now we're talking more, taking more seriously.
We're also talking about new sanctions.
Always.
America has already voted heavier sanctions on
and I
North
really
Korea.
wonder what is left to sanction, because they have sanctioned everything.
How does this work? What happens to North Korea when the West decides on more sanctions?
The whole thing with the sanction is almost a joke, actually, and it is indeed, because there is sanctions from the United Nations Security Council, there is sanctions just from the United States, sanctions from bilateral sanctions from countries, from the EU, different kind of sanctions for the past 25 years. And I still wonder what is the result of all that. The nuclear program is going on. They failed. So the significance is just political. It doesn't have any real meaning. What they do is they actually punish ordinary people. And there are many things that I saw when I was there, because I was there from 2012 to 2014, which is the period where in 2013 where we had the last big crisis in the continent with the test, the 2013 nuclear test, and this is where more economic sanctions were voted, and the NGOs could not operate anymore in the country, and there were no money, and as a result, a lot of programs stopped. There was a very successful program to fight tuberculosis, and because of the sanctions, medicines could not get into the country anymore, so we ended up cutting in the middle health programs that is really, they're war crimes. You could even say that.
So does the military elite of North Korea, which is supposedly the main aim of those sanctions, does it get affected? Does this change?
No, they don't. I mean, there's the sanctions as they have been designed by the UN Security Council. They talk about luxury items, but they don't define what is the luxury item. So every member state has the right to define its own products that it considers luxury. This can go from lipsticks to football balls to everything, to medicines, to spare parts. So it actually, the whole aim is to suffocate the country, hoping to provoke unrest. But at the end, they only suffocate the ordinary people. Mm-hmm. They already live poorly, so it's not that it makes such a big difference to them, but the elite is not getting, nobody's getting affected. Because there's also China, who doesn't implement the sanctions.
So there is a channel of economic activity between China and North Korea?
All the major investments in North Korea are Chinese. China is investing hugely, but it's not only China. You know, the golden mines that there are in North Korea. I personally met a representative from Israel, and that they're active there, mm-hmm. and they are active in the golden mines. There is investments from Israel there. There is the whole country is flooded with German products everywhere there. So there are economic activities that are going on.
Yeah, and China is the closest big military and political power to North Korea. What is the behavior of China towards North Korea now with the newest testing and all this?
They have expressed their discontent with this bombing, and then I read a lot of analysis, and they were just saying that China now will be much more strict with North Korea, and that will be reflected in the implementation of the sanctions, which I don't think is the case, because just a few days ago, the Xinhua, the news agency from China, they published an op-ed, and they actually said there that China is against the nuclear weapons, and they're worried with the situation, but they understand that the aggressivity that North Korea has been subject to, it justifies the reaction, which I think what China is doing now is not backing up North Korea, but I think it's giving a sign that they're not going to, at least unofficially they will continue backing up North Korea. I think this is my feeling, and I think it's going to happen.
I know that you've been following this history for a long time, so I would like to ask, in general, do you think that there is something new and important happening now, or is it just business as usual, and this is just a peak of the crisis and it's going to
We don't know if they indeed have an H-bomb or not. That we don't know. But I think it's another crisis, and I think it will have a peak and then it will slow down like it's always happening. That's my feeling. And even if they vote more sanctions, which they're actually doing it, I don't think it will make any difference. Just hoping, as I said, to create unrest, which for the past 60 years, the whole international community was dreaming of this collapse. It didn't happen. So and there are reasons that it's not happening, because they have the wrong image of what actually is happening in North Korea. It's not a country ruled by a madman. It's not. It's of course, it's a totalitarian government. There's no basic freedoms. There's no democracy, of course. There's no free movement or free press. Yes. There's also no political opposition inside the country. This is also true. But I'm not sure, but I mean, I think that there's no also space for opposition inside from the people, because the people are around the leadership and they support the leadership. And if you follow since Kim Jong-un got on power from 2012 to today, then the living standards have been higher than before. And I was there from 2012 to 2014, and I could follow up the changes. I could see that people were becoming more relaxed, they had more things. Life was getting better, and there's a lot of also, and this is the problem also with North Korea, because we focus only on the dark spots, but we don't focus on the economic developments that are taking place in the country, on the reforms that Kim Jong-un is actually implementing. And those reforms in the agricultural sector, in the mining sector, have given the fruits now. People, there's no lack of food now. I mean, the country is able to cover its needs. So it's really a lot of developments going on, but we don't focus on that.
But you do realize that in the West, it's very difficult for the West to accept another country with such great political and cultural differences from what we consider a better life or a democracy or anything. How are these things going to come together?
How did we accept the secret nuclear program of Israel and nobody talks about it? Why? Why do we accept that? So why we can't accept that? I'm against nuclear weapons, but what I'm saying is, why do we accept the programs of some countries and why from other countries? I know why, but isn't it? There's a reason behind that. So,
of course,
so it's not that the world cannot accept that. It's specific geopolitical interest that.
I was mainly focusing on the difference of political culture, not whether they have nuclear weapons.
Haven't we accepted the other countries where there are political differences? Look at Central East Asia, for example. Do we have democracy in all those countries there? But we don't talk about it because there's natural gas reserves, and the companies the corporations that deal with this, they're very good partners of Western corporations. So I don't think it has to do with the regime. I think if tomorrow North Korea suddenly opens up for business, even if it kills the 24 million Koreans, nobody will care. I mean, look at the example of Myanmar. Myanmar, it was a dictatorship, opened up. There's still issues with the Rohingya people. There's still issues with the minorities. We don't talk about it now because corporations are getting into the country. It's all that. I'm not saying that North Korea is a paradise on earth. I'm not saying it's a gulag either. The truth is always in the middle. So
it's just a matter of when business start to happen, things will resolve themselves.
Yes, that's the whole thing.
I see. All right. Thank you very much for your contribution, and thank you for watching us.